Glad to have you here. And following you, there will be David Vogel, Executive Director of the Early Care and Learning Council. So if you could get ready.
Good afternoon. I'm Stephanie Gendel from Citizens Committee for Children. We don't accept any government funding, so I'm not asking for any funding for myself. However, we are multi-issue, so I actually have a slew of requests.
Could you summarize it, though? Because
Yes.
I see that you have
of
some
course. I'm definitely
thick testimony here.
Yeah, I was
we
actually going to
appreciate.
say, and I'm going to mention as many as I can in 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Starting with, we were really disappointed to see all of the cost shifts in the governor's budget for New York City, and we urge you to reject all of those, including whatever's going on in the safety net language, which we don't totally understand. With regard to childcare, I appreciate everyone's support this morning for childcare. We discussed the $90 million. Our estimates are that it's actually significantly higher than $90 million, probably closer to $190 million. So also account for the 12-month eligibility and some other changes. On income security, we support the raising the minimum wage, and we also ask that you ensure state contracts include the money to actually maintain employees when they raise the minimum wage. Unlike the private market, the nonprofits can't raise prices. We support paid family leave. We support Raise the Age, and we urge you to use this session to raise the age. It will keep communities safer. It has been proven to do so elsewhere. As you know, we're one of only 2 states that treat all 16 and 17-year-olds as adults, and we urge you to pass comprehensive Raise the Age legislation this session. With regard to child welfare, the budget once again cuts the state share for preventive and protective from 65% to 62%. We urge you to think about restoring that funding or instead reallocate the 3% for primary preventive services. Right now, the money that you get through this open-ended reimbursement scheme is for prevention where there's an open case against the family. If you could have primary preventive services, somebody wouldn't have to have a case opened and people might be more open and not concerned about the stigma. It would also ensure that the money was used for something different and not just a cost shift. We support what Jim Purcell discussed about King Gap, moving it out of the foster care block grant. Also, the subsidy should go to age 21 for all young people, as well as we'd like to see the definition of relative consistent with the definition we use for foster care. There was some discussion about helping youth age out of foster care. Assemblymember Hevesey's Bill A7756 would be helpful in that regard. It raises the housing subsidy from $300 to $600 per month and enables youth to receive it until age 24 and have roommates, and we urge you to pass that bill this session. We were happy to see post-adoption language and $5 million for post-adoption services in this bill. That's a federal requirement that we've been waiting for the state to implement. We're concerned that the appropriations language makes it sound like OCFS can use the money for whatever they'd like and also reduce it if they'd like to, and so we just urge you to make that language more specific. We support adding more resources for home visiting, runaway and homeless youth, and the summer youth employment program. And then I have so much time left that I'll end going back to one of the things I left out, which is on the income security, helping New Yorkers save for college, we think is critical, and the best way to help families get and young people get out of poverty ultimately is to go to college. And so we've long supported the proposal to allow New Yorkers to put a portion of their tax refund directly into a 529 college savings account at the time they do their taxes, which if you do your EIT, if you get the EITC is the only time you really have the money to do that. And so we actually have a bill in both houses, A9065 and S6229, which is Hevesey and Carlucci. We urge you to pass that bill this session. And then once New Yorkers are able to do that, those on public assistance would need to be able to have 529s waived from the asset limit test, or else they wouldn't really be able to save through this mechanism. So that is the quickest summary of my 18-page testimony I could do. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. Any questions?
Yeah, I have one.
Thank
you, Senator. There's too many things to agree on, so I'm just going to say thank you so much for all of your advice and guidance, and continue to look forward to working with you and achieving some real results. Thank you.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is, I should say, is David Vogel, Executive Director from the Early Care and Learning Council, and he will be joined by Jessica Kloss Shapiro, Director of Policy and Community Education. Very happy to have you with us. How badly did I butcher your name?
David Vogel.
Okay, good.
You got mine perfectly, so thank you.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. It's good when that happens.
Well, we appreciate very much the opportunity to be speaking today. The Early Care and Learning Council is the state association of 35 child care resource and referral agencies that serve every region of New York State. Our purpose is to promote excellence in early learning. We do this united in purpose and in partnership with the 35 CCR&Rs. The child care resource and referral programs are, in fact, the linkage between the parents and providers throughout the state, between the need for child care and the services that meet that need. Parents utilize CCR&Rs to identify and obtain resources and child care that meets their needs. Providers utilize the CCR&Rs for quality improvement, for trainings and technical assistance, and to access resources and to be connected to the consumers they want to reach. Our CCR&Rs know where the regulated child care exists in the regions they serve. They're aware of what capacity needs to be developed to better meet the region of a need, to better meet the needs of a region. Child care is a infrastructure support for children, for families, and for communities. CCR&Rs are a critical tool in making that child care available and effective throughout the state. Quality child care, which is needed in order for children to thrive, is expensive, particularly in New York State. The recent report by the Child Care Aware of America in the fall of 2015 documented again how expensive it is in New York State. There's a report that I believe we may have distributed to just about everyone in the Capitol. So hopefully you do have that, but it cites, I'm just going to cite two of the factors that show up in this report. One is that the average annual cost of full-time care for an infant in a child care center is over $14,000. For a 4-year-old, it's nearly $12,000. Combined for a 2-child family, that would be almost $26,000 a year in child care costs. If you are a single parent, the average income of a single parent does not cover that. The average income of a child care worker does not cover that. So it is very expensive. New York is the least affordable state in the country for center-based care for 4-year-olds. It is the third least expensive, the least affordable state for center-based infant care. As I've stated in a different testimony this year, the cost of a year of center-based care for an infant in New York is nearly double the cost of tuition at a public college. This is the widest gap in any state in the country. And while parents will pay about 60% for the child care cost for their family, they actually only pay about 23% of the costs associated with a public college education, with the remainder subsidized by state and federal funds. Given how expensive child care is, in New York State in particular, if it did not have the public support that it has, parents would not be able to go to work, employers would not be able to operate or expand their businesses. There's a wonderful 5-minute video circulating somewhere that we can provide a link to about, I think it's entitled "A Day Without Childcare," and it's a very poignant demonstration of how the world collapses if there is not quality childcare available. Reliable, regulated childcare increases employee attendance, punctuality, and productivity. Quality childcare is necessary for parents, for children, and for our communities. This year, we call upon the legislature to invest an additional $190 million in childcare. $90 million of this is necessary so that in order to cover the costs of the new health, safety, and quality initiatives required by the block grant, in order for no children to actually lose subsidies. We also are asking for $100 million that is, we perceive and our experts perceive will be necessary to also maintain current level of slots because of the market rate increases that are due in June of this year, and because of the expanded eligibility rules that will take effect in October of this year. What? Time's up already? Wow, okay.
Do you have any other questions?
I'm happy to take questions. You have most of my testimony, so I don't want to go beyond the time I had allowed.
I just had a couple quick questions. So we heard a lot of concern earlier today out of legislators about the executive budget and the fact that we have this federal $90 million mandate that's coming down and on child care agencies. And I was wondering, you know, you're talking about increasing funding and how expensive child care already is in New York State. And it does put working in some cases out of reach for some families and having that ability. I was wondering what you felt the impact of the increase in the minimum wage would have on child care providers in the state.
We have heard from several of our CCR&Rs of concerns that providers have raised about how it would impact their payroll and their ability to continue business. I heard a comment earlier today related to, I don't believe the term profit margin was used, but there's a reference to how much money is being made and to what extent are providers able to cover this cost of additional wages. The reality is the childcare world is not a high profit enterprise. Many childcare providers already struggle. There are concerns. We absolutely believe that a childcare worker should be making probably, on the average, $10,000 a year more than they currently make. However, at the moment, we're not aware of a way to make that, to accomplish that. ECLC, the Early Care and Learning Council, has not taken an official position on the minimum wage proposal, but we do know that some of our CCR&Rs have heard concerns from providers as to how this may in fact put them out of business.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add to that, if that's possible.
Go ahead.
The different, these campaigns that we would be supportive of are the Fiscal Policy Institute, like the 15 and funded, because a lot of the contracts that happen between childcare workers in the state, it's if you just mandated that that person be paid $15 and they're not funded, we'd put businesses out and there would be less childcare available for families. So those are something we support.
Thank you. Assemblyman Hevesi.
Just a comment. First, thank you for your testimony, but I just want to go on record and say, Ms. Shapiro, thank you for your advice and your guidance. I would not understand these issues even close to what I do now if it wasn't for your advice, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jen O'Connor, co-chair of Winning Beginning New York. And following her, we will have Kelly Sturgis, Executive Director of After School Works.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome, Chair.
They made us take the sticks out of our signs so we wouldn't use them as weapons, so I'll just hold this for you. I feel like I'm preaching to the choir. I want to thank you all for your attention to all of our issues today. I will say very briefly, we wanted to talk today about home visiting, childcare, and after school. In terms of home visiting, nearly 70,000 children a year are abused or neglected. That would fill Madison Square Garden nearly 4 times. We know that maternal, infant, and early childhood home visiting can help to prevent child abuse and neglect. We would urge you to look not just at Healthy Families and the Nurse-Family Partnership Program, but also as the Parents as Teachers and the Parent-Child Home Program. These are 4 research-based programs, and the reason that we support them is we look across the continuum, so different eligibility levels, different demographics across the state, and we are fully supportive of all four getting a little funding this year. In addition, obviously, we would like the $90 million for CCDBG implementation. We disagree with the governor's office that with their strategy to let the feds take care of it. And so we are meeting with them about 30-day amendments, but we do hope that we can come to some sort of resolution on that. In particular, passing the cost of background checks down to providers is unconscionable. To us, we are talking about 12,500 small businesses and a number of low-wage workers. $100 million for subsidies, that would just maintain the number of childcare slots right now to keep parents working. And we are asking for an increase in Advantage after-school funding by $49.9 million, and also asking for a restoration of $2 million from last year. My colleagues from After School Works and the New York State After School Network are following me immediately, so I'll let them keep specific, get specific on that. I will tell you that the only reason that I found after-school programming for my 12-year-old a while back was calling on those folks at the After School Network to help hook me up, because there is nothing out there, and the last thing you want is a 12-year-old home alone. So I thank you very much, and I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Senator Krueger.
Thank you. You're the second testifier in a row to bring up the fact that New York State's early child care is much more expensive than anywhere else in the country. Sure. We're certainly not paying our child care workers much more, so why are we so much more expensive?
I think my colleagues are actually better versed in that piece than I am. I mean, what the cost of child care right now is what people can afford to pay. It's not based on a real valid market rate, so it's not based on what child care providers should be paid. It still ends up being much more expensive. I mean, you're going to pay more for child care than you would for a four-year college education at a state university. So there should be something in place, we would hope, to help with those costs.
No, again, but your testimony says average cost of high-quality infant care at $14,000 per year, implying that in other states it would be less expensive than $14,000 a year?
We also have pretty good regulations around ratios, so child to provider ratios, and infant care is just a lot more expensive. I will say that as we move 3-year-olds into pre-K programs, we would like to see them served in community-based organizations, because that will help defer the cost of the infants and toddlers. So our concern with pre-K, while we're completely supportive of it, is to not move too many kids into school-based settings, because infant and toddler care is so expensive.
And the older kids subsidize in some way the younger kids?
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Senator Montgomery.
You are at least the second of testimonies that deals quite extensively with child abuse issues. And I am just, I'm interested because child abuse often is an indication, it's a symptom of a much larger issue in a family. And all of those stresses end up being, delivered on at the expense of the child or the children. So I'm wondering, where are we in terms of looking at child abuse as an indication of a much larger issue, and that there is a way of beginning to deal with the larger issue? If there is a housing issue, if there is spousal abuse, if there's family violence of any sort, or on and on and on. Where are we do we have a system that uses child abuse as an indication that we need to be doing much more with any given family or situation?
I don't think we do a good enough job of connecting the dots. I think we still look at child abuse as a punitive situation, and we don't necessarily look at poverty, at homelessness, at domestic violence. I would love to come by with a colleague. I sit on the board of Prevent Child Abuse New York, and I'd love to come by with the executive director and talk to you more about kind of specifics of that. But I do think that programs like home visiting can help by making supported referrals to other programs. And having someone, the benefit of home visiting, it's completely voluntary, but if you have someone come into your home, they're not just looking at the child that is in the program. They're looking at the whole structure, and they're looking at all the people in the home and around the home, and they're sometimes really good first responders. But I would love to talk to you offline about some more specifics.
I would love to talk to you about that. There was a very, very outstanding issue in my own district with a child that was killed, and one of the indicators for stress in that family was that the child missed so many school days. And so there are things that it seems to me we could do to act as, to have an emergency response team, so to speak, to crisis that a family is experiencing, which we know could very well, probably would, lead to child abuse or death of a child. And so I look forward to working with you. We've tried to do that. There are some other places where that's done, and it makes a tremendous difference in dealing with the whole, the degree to which child abuse and child homicides have become so prevalent. Sure. And we're concerned about that, so I look forward to working with you.
That would be
if
fantastic.
You don't mind.
We could definitely work to shore up the safety net.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you very much for your testimony today. Our next speakers are from After School Works, the New York State After School Network, and that would be Kelly Sturgis, Executive Director, and Allie Liddy, Deputy Director. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Kelly Sturgis, the Executive Director of After School Works New York, the New York State After School Network. And first, not only do we want to thank you for allowing us to testify today, but also staying this late in the day and committing your time to this. So thank you very much.
This is nothing.
There's still more people. At ASW NYSAN, we believe that all of New York students deserve the chance to reach their full potential, no matter where they are from. Each year, studies demonstrate the impact and value of after-school and summer programs in helping youth reach that potential. These benefits are outlined in the written testimony we provided to you, so we'll try and keep this short. To build an innovation-focused economy, ensure our children are graduating high school ready for college and career, and keep them on track for healthy adult lives, New York needs to increase investment in high-quality after-school and summer learning experiences. Furthermore, as the state turns to the community schools strategy to support school turnaround, a strategy in which 90% of schools include after-school programming or expanded learning time, there is increasing interest throughout the state in greater access to these programs. While we strongly support the community schools strategy, we are deeply concerned that schools attempting to add in needed after-school and summer programs will further stretch the already overextended funding streams. Even without considering potential increased demand, 1.1 million New York students want an after-school program and do not have access to one. That number remains unchanged from 2009. Similarly, a report based on the same survey from the 2014 America After 3 p.m. revealed that 500,000 New York children are still without access to high-quality summer programming. Fortunately, the state has an opportunity to make a difference. We ask that you appropriate $69.2 million to the Advantage After School program. This will restore $19.3 million in funding to this past fiscal year and increase funding by an additional $49.9 million to this coming fiscal year. This increase will allow the program to serve 20,000 students, which is an increase of 5,000 students over current capacity, and expand the funding stream to allow for full-day summer programming for 20,000 youth. Additionally, this funding will align per-student allotment for these programs with national best practice standards, which is also aligned with 21st century community learning centers. A portion of this investment will also ensure quality by leveraging statewide knowledge, resources, and supports through technical assistance, allowing for data collection and evaluation to make evidence-based quality improvements, and providing state-level data on after-school and summer programming. Additionally, we request that you provide an additional $190 million in childcare to maintain and expand subsidies. More than a third of childcare subsidies in New York support care for school-age children, including after-school programs. An additional $90 million is needed to ensure that no current children lose childcare subsidies as the state implements these new federally mandated health, safety, and quality initiatives. Furthermore, an additional $100 million is needed to expand childcare subsidies to reach an additional 13,000 children in income-eligible families that are waiting to be served. Investing in childcare subsidies helps families ensure that their children are safe after the school day ends, and the need is currently much higher than the available funding.
I'm Allie Leidy. I'm the Deputy Director. I just wanted to highlight a couple of the great programs that we have across the state doing after-school and summer programs already. One of them is the Comet Design Company in Carthage. It's actually an entrepreneurial program for high school students where they get to create a business plan, develop a product, use 3D printers and other high-tech machines to actually create these products, and then they sell them to support the after-school program. Another is a partnership in Messina, which is a community that has an increasing heroin and prescription drug addiction problem among youth, where the Boys and Girls Club has teamed up with the police department to provide a positive alternative through their after-school program. And these are just a couple of the opportunities that are currently in the state that need support. In addition to the recommendations that Kelly mentioned, we also hope that you consider a few other recommendations that support these programs, including the addition of $28.33 million to the Youth Development Program to expand the out-of-school time program services, and then growing that eventually to $85 million. We also urge you to accept the governor's proposed increase in the Summer Youth Employment Program to $31 million, and to increase that program by $17.2 million to add an additional 10,000 jobs and pay the increased minimum wage. We also urge you to accept the governor's proposal for a continued $250,000 to increase enrollment in the Child and Adult Care Food Program, and finally to support baselining the $2.1 million legislative add for Runaway and Homeless Youth Act programs, which would bring total state support to $4.48 million, and then an addition of $5.5 million to bring total support to $10 million. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions?
Thank you.
Mr. Summerlin?
Yeah, just very quickly. First, there we go. First, thank you. It's good to see you again, and thank you for all your work, and to be part of, at least for me, and I'm sure other my colleagues, an understanding that after school is not just good for the kids, but it's also a sort of daycare that is crucial for parents to stay at work. It's an economic development tool, which is incredibly important for us. So your guidance on these issues have been invaluable. I just want to say thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all of your support.
Thank you. Well, thank you for participating today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Our next speaker from the United Federation of Teachers is Ann Goldman, Vice President for Non-DOE Titles. Following Ms. Goldman, Vice President Goldman, will have McLean Beerhop, State Advocacy Director for the Supportive Housing Network of New York.